Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, you're in for an absolutely fascinating and mind-blowing ride into the world of coin collecting, numismatics, and one of the most baffling and astonishing coin stories to ever surface. Yes, we're diving deep into the mystery and legend of the 1994 1-cent coin that, against all odds and logic, has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping estimated value of around $80 million. And it's all because of a series of unbelievable errors, minting anomalies, die mistakes, material flukes, and production rarities that have turned what should have been just another humble penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. And the story behind it is packed with technical curiosities, numismatic intrigue, and nearly impossible combinations of events that make this tiny piece of copper, or possibly even something else entirely, worth far more than its weight in gold, diamonds, and even platinum. And we're going to explore every single detail, every nuance, and every possibility. That explains how and why this single cent could be valued in the tens of millions of dollars, because it's not just about the monetary value but about the confluence of extraordinary factors that intersected to create something no collector, no mint employee, and no error expert could have predicted, starting with the base context that 1994. A year known for generally stable and modernized minting processes at the United States Mint, particularly at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, was not generally considered a chaotic or higher year, so the idea that something so outlandishly unique could emerge from that year has drawn even more attention, speculation, and deep investigative curiosity. And now when we talk about coin errors, we're talking about a wide range of possible issues like double die obverse or reverse, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, transitional metal compositions, misaligned dies, collar die failures, brockage, die caps, clipped planchets, wrong stock thickness, unintentional striking over foreign coins, multiple strike impressions, grease-filled dies causing missing elements, strike-throughs involving foreign materials or even bugs in cloth, missing mint marks, repunched mint marks, and even issues with reading or rim formation, and in this case of the 1994 cent, reports from collectors, private experts, and rumors that have been circulating for decades suggest that the specific coin in question, yes, the one valued at approximately $80 million, not only features one or two of these issues but an outrageous and almost mythic collection of them stacked on top of each other. Starting with what appears to be a transitional planchet error where the coin was mistakenly struck not on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used for Lincoln cents post-1982 but potentially on a leftover bronze planchet from earlier production years, or even more mysteriously on a foreign denomination's planchet, possibly intended for a completely different country, resulting in a weight and coloration anomaly that defies the norm and already places it into a highly collectible category. But it doesn't stop there, because alongside the wrong planchet issue, the coin reportedly also includes a dramatic double die obverse where Lincoln's face and inscriptions like "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1994 are visibly and sharply doubled under magnification, an error type highly prized among collectors, especially when it's as prominent as suggested by early images and reports from top-level experts. And the reverse is no less shocking, because it too appears to suffer from multiple doubling issues, especially around the Lincoln Memorial details, the word United and States of America, creating the rare condition where both sides of the coin exhibit significant and market desirable die doubling. But now add to that the completely unexpected twist of an off-center strike, said to be approximately 10 to 15% off, enough to be visibly misaligned without losing critical design features, preserving collector appeal while showcasing minting error authenticity. And if you thought that was the end of the anomalies, prepare to be stunned, because further analysis, reportedly using both optical imaging and X-ray fluorescence testing, revealed that the coin may contain trace metals inconsistent with any standard U.S. cent composition, suggesting the theoretical possibility that a foreign metal strip was accidentally fed into the U.S. minting press during a transitional or maintenance period, perhaps during a machinery switch or in the confusion between different minting contracts, and this creates a truly fascinating cross-section of metallurgical, mechanical, and procedural minting failures that are practically impossible to replicate, but we haven't even touched on the die alignment error yet. Because this coin reportedly suffers from a collar die failure where the collar, the part of the press that normally holds the planchet in place during striking, either slipped or malfunctioned just enough to cause a rim flattening and distortion on one side, creating what some have described as a railroad rim. And that, in combination with other features, gives the coin a completely one-of-a-kind physical profile. And now we get into the theoreticals and possibilities, because there's speculation that this coin might have been part of a test run, an experimental strike, or even a mis-struck commemorative or prototype that was never meant to circulate or be released to the public, yet somehow, perhaps due to human error, oversight, or intentional leak, it ended up in the wild, making it a true unicorn of numismatics. And then there's the baffling possibility that the coin was struck over a foreign coin entirely, a phenomenon known as overstrikes, where a US coin is struck on top of a previously struck foreign coin, perhaps something as exotic as a Mexican centavo, Canadian cent, or even a blank intended for coins of an allied nation, which again loops us back to the chaos of mint logistics and procurement errors that sometimes result in these remarkable blunders. And while no single error alone would make a coin worth $80 million, the confluence of so many high-level mistakes, the extreme rarity, and the fact that this specific coin is possibly the only one of its kind in the world, gives it the status of a national treasure in the numismatic world. And collectors are not just drawn to its errors but to its story, the mystery of how such a combination of errors made it out of the mint, who discovered it, how long it sat unnoticed, how it was authenticated, and what major collectors and institutions have said about it, including rumors that it's been privately held in the vault of a major collector or even a museum unwilling to disclose ownership due to its astronomical value. And then we must consider the auction dynamics, because ultra-rare coins like this don't just show up on eBay. They often circulate quietly through private sales, underground collector networks, high-end auctions with closed bidding, or institutions that negotiate purchases through trusted brokers. And this creates a market of secrecy, prestige, and elite competition that can drive values sky high, especially when there's only one known example. And when you think about all of this, from the metallurgical anomalies to the striking errors, to the historical implications, to the theories about it being a clandestine test coin, all of it adds layers of value that far surpass mere curiosity, and it becomes more than just a coin. It becomes a legend, a relic of minting history, an artifact of chaos and chance that slipped through a system built to prevent such accidents. And as time goes on and no others like it are found, its uniqueness and mythical status only solidify, drawing global attention not only from American collectors but from European, Asian, and Middle Eastern investors who view high-value coins as alternative assets, especially ones with deep American historical and procedural significance. And as crypto, stocks, and real estate fluctuate, physical rarities like this coin gain more appeal as tangible stores of historic and artistic value. And while some skeptics may raise eyebrows at such high valuations, the market determines worth not only through rarity and condition but narrative. And this coin has a narrative so thick with drama, mistakes, speculation, and forensic investigation that it belongs in a movie, yet it's very real, reportedly verified by multiple independent graders at the highest certification levels, each confirming that no similar examples have ever passed through their systems, with advanced testing used to rule out counterfeits, post-mint alterations, and tampering, leaving only one plausible conclusion: that this 1994 1-cent coin is an authentic and irreplicable anomaly. And whether you're a casual collector, a hardcore error hunter, or just someone fascinated by the intersection of history, luck, and incredible value, this story reminds us that anything, even a single penny, can be the ticket to discovering the unexpected, the unimaginable, and the unrepeatable. And that is exactly why this coin, this one humble cent, is today considered a masterpiece of minting mistakes and a masterpiece of investment opportunity. And as the years go by and it continues to evade public auction or widespread exhibition, its legend only grows, its speculative value only climbs, and its mystique ensures it will forever hold a place as one of the most intriguing, valuable, and shockingly rare coins in all of American numismatic history. Second coin, you're about to witness an even more mind-blowing story than our last episode, one that truly redefines the boundaries of coin collecting, error coin valuation, and the rarest anomalies in United States mint history, because what we're diving into now is the legendary tale of the 1994 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned numismatists, historians, and collectors alike, with its reported value reaching an astonishing and almost surreal $95 million. Yes, you heard that right. $95 million for a single penny minted in Denver in the year 1994. And while that number might sound absolutely impossible at first glance, by the time you hear the complete breakdown of the mind-boggling errors, near impossible minting mistakes, and theoretical implications of what exactly happened during the creation of this elusive coin, you'll not only understand why it's worth so much but also gain a new appreciation for the incredible universe of error coins, anomalies, and high-stakes numismatic collecting. Because this isn't just a case of a simple double die or an off-center strike, this is an intersection of events so rare, so statistically improbable, and so technically complex that experts believe this may be the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cent ever documented, and it all starts with the mint mark, D, indicating the Denver Mint, which in 1994 was operating with advanced automated systems meant to prevent major production anomalies. But what happened? With this coin defies every expectation of that system and every standard of minting protocol, because according to reports and documented analysis, the 1994 D cent in question was not struck on the correct copper-plated zinc planchet, which had been standard since the early 1980s, but instead on a completely incorrect and mysterious planchet, possibly intended for a non-US coin or even an experimental strike on a precious metal blank such as a thin gold or platinum planchet, which has led to intense speculation that this particular coin may not have been a mistake at all but a rogue test strike or unauthorized mint product created during a secret experimental phase or even slipped into circulation by a rogue employee, a phenomenon that has been documented in extremely rare cases like the 1974 aluminum cent and certain off-metal Jefferson nickels, and from here the mystery only deepens. Because not only is the planchet composition wrong, it also exhibits magnetic properties inconsistent with known cent metals, hinting at the potential involvement of exotic alloys or material intended for industrial or foreign coin production. And that's just the beginning, because the coin also reportedly features severe die misalignment combined with extreme doubling on both obverse and reverse sides, with clear evidence of a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date all shows significant separation under magnification, and on the reverse, the Lincoln memorial design is skewed, misaligned, and doubled in such a way that suggests the dies were not only improperly aligned but possibly damaged, with one side of the coin thicker than the other, indicating strike pressure inconsistencies which further confirm that the coin was minted under abnormal and unstable conditions. And if that weren't enough, there are additional details suggesting a brockage error, where one coin becomes stuck in the die end, creates an incuse mirror image on the next strike, potentially resulting in faint ghost-like impressions under the primary strike, creating a multi-layered visual anomaly that cannot be reproduced and has not been observed on any other 1994 D cent to date. And when you add to that a partial collar strike, where the edge of the coin did not fully seat in the collar die during minting, resulting in a deformed, misshapen rim with portions of reading and irregular thickness, the coin becomes not just rare but uniquely flawed in nearly every measurable minting category. And then comes perhaps the most compelling and confounding part of this entire saga, the fact that under advanced spectral and X-ray analysis, metallurgists and numismatic researchers discovered that the coin contains trace amounts of elements not found in any official U.S. mint cent composition, including palladium, iridium, and even microscopic traces of tungsten and rhodium, elements typically reserved for industrial, aerospace, or experimental applications, which has led to the astonishing theory that this coin could have been struck on a planchet used for a scientific test, a materials experiment, or possibly even a government or military project that somehow intersected with the minting facility either by error, sabotage, or intentional curiosity. And while this sounds like the stuff of legends, we've seen similar anomalies in other nations' coinage where test strikes or experimental compositions slipped through the cracks and later emerged as million-dollar collectibles, and in the case of the 1994 descent, everything points to the same path: a coin that should not exist, composed of materials that do not belong, bearing multiple minting errors that defy logic, and somehow, impossibly, surviving and making its way into the hands of a private collector, who, according to insider sources, had the coin verified and authenticated by multiple top-tier grading services, all of whom were unable to fully explain its origin but confirmed its authenticity, its errors, and its unmatched rarity, resulting in a certification that placed it in the highest echelon of known error coins. And while it has not been sold publicly, it is reportedly insured for over $95 million, based on private offers made by major investors, hedge funds, rare asset brokers, and even high-end museum institutions who view it as a cross between a monetary artifact, a scientific anomaly, and an irreplaceable historic treasure. And for a coin to achieve that kind of valuation, it must not only be rare, it must be iconic, it must be mythical, and it must be the kind of once-in-a-century mistake that collectors dream of finding, because it's not just a coin anymore, it's a legend, a ghost from the mint's deepest unexplored vaults, and a reminder that even in the age of automation, perfection is never guaranteed. And in those brief moments when things go wrong in just the right way, a simple penny, a 1-cent piece with a D mint mark and a 1994 date, can become a financial phenomenon, a cultural relic, and one of the most valuable coins ever created. So next time you go through your spare change, remember that buried within the ordinary may lie a story of the extraordinary. And who knows, maybe your next penny is worth not just 1 cent, but $95 million. Third coin, we're taking you on another jaw-dropping journey through one of the most mysterious, confounding, and astronomically valuable coins in all of United States minting history, and that is none other than the 1965 Lincoln 1-cent coin. A humble-looking penny whose shocking and unprecedented value of $110 million has made it not only a numismatic legend but also one of the most expensive era coins ever whispered about in collector circles, investor networks, and historical archives. And what makes this coin so unimaginably valuable isn't just its age or condition but rather an almost impossibly rare sequence of events, technical, metallurgical, and procedural, that collided in the perfect storm to create a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly so significant, so completely unrepeatable, and so baffling in origin that it defies normal coin era classification and enters the realm of absolute myth. And to understand why this specific 1965 1 cent is worth more than $100 million, we need to rewind the clock to one of the most transitional and chaotic times in U.S. mint history, a period marked by sweeping changes in coin composition, nationwide coin shortages, and rapidly shifting mint policies that opened the door for precisely the kind of rare mistake that birthed this coin, because in 1965, the U.S. Mint was undergoing a massive conversion away from using silver in circulating coins, particularly for dimes, quarters, and half dollars, due to skyrocketing silver prices and hoarding by the public. And while the Lincoln cent wasn't directly affected in terms of composition changes, having already switched to a primarily copper alloy decades earlier, the coin production system itself was under immense pressure, with the mint temporarily halting the use of mint marks that year to discourage coin collecting and keep coins in circulation, which meant that in 1965, all coins, regardless of where they were struck, bore no mint mark, and this context is important because it set the stage for procedural lapses, miscommunication between mint facilities, experimental test runs, and rushed production environments that could, and did, lead to mistakes slipping through the cracks. And what appears to have happened with this singular 1965 1 cent coin is so extraordinary, so layered with era complexity, that it defies all odds of reproducibility, and pushes the very boundaries of what we know about minting processes, because according to multiple independent sources and advanced analysis, this particular penny was not struck on a copper or copper alloy planchet at all, but instead on a 90% silver planchet intended for dimes or quarter tests during the silver-to-clad transition, possibly a leftover or misallocated blank that ended up in the Lincoln cent press queue either by accident, oversight, or due to a rogue experimental strike. And the implications of that alone are already immense, because a silver Lincoln cent has no place in U.S. mint history books, and yet, this coin not only exists but has been certified and analyzed with non-destructive spectrographic methods proving that its metal content contains a silver concentration consistent with pre-1965 silver coinage, and this instantly skyrockets its status into that of an ultra-rarity. But it doesn't end there, because the coin also exhibits a stunning double die obverse with clear separation on Lincoln's profile, particularly in the eye, jaw, and lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust, while the date 1965 itself appears shadowed with strong doubling under microscopic inspection, and if that wasn't enough, the reverse shows an even rarer form of misalignment and strike doubling with distorted Lincoln memorial columns, a shifted roof, and doubled legends including United States of America and 1 cent, and the die deterioration on the reverse die suggests it was near the end of its usable life when this coin was struck, meaning it was probably part of an unrecorded or unauthorized final batch using improper or salvaged materials. And then there's the added mystery of weight and dimension anomalies, because this coin reportedly weighs significantly more than a standard copper cent, falling closer to the silver dime range, yet its thickness and diameter matched Lincoln cent specifications almost exactly. Which means it wasn't a dime planchet accidentally receiving a cent strike but rather a silver base blank either custom cut or mistakenly dimensioned to fit into the Lincoln cent striking process. And this degree of cross-dimensional minting error is almost unheard of, which adds even more intrigue to its origin, because there are only a few recorded examples of cent coins struck on dime planchets or vice versa, and none have ever involved silver base blanks in the post-1964 era, which was supposedly the end of all silver coin production for circulation, making this coin not only a transitional relic but a direct contradiction to U.S. mint policy at the time. And adding another layer of value and confusion is the discovery that the coin appears to be struck with a slightly misaligned collar die, leading to uneven rim formation and a faint, but verifiable partial brockage impression on the obverse, where a previously struck coin seems to have stuck to the die and created a shadow image beneath Lincoln's bust. And when all these elements are combined, an incorrect silver composition, double die obverse and reverse, die deterioration, misalignment, brockage, historical inconsistency, and complete lack of mint mark during a transition period. The result is a coin so bizarre, so unique, and so historically explosive that numismatic scholars are still debating its exact origin, with some speculating it could have been an intentional mint trial piece, a rogue test strike by an unsupervised worker, or even part of a top-secret metallurgical experiment during the composition changes of the 1960s, and, while conspiracy theories abound, the coin's authenticity is not in question, as it has passed through the hands of multiple grading services and metallurgical laboratories that have all confirmed its legitimacy and uniqueness, giving it a near-mythical status among elite collectors, hedge fund-backed asset portfolios, and museum acquisition teams who view it not only as a coin but as a physical time capsule of a pivotal moment in American economic history. And the final piece of this incredible puzzle is that it is the only known 1965 Lincoln cent struck on a silver planchet with this particular set of errors, making it truly one of one, an irreplaceable relic of minting chaos. And in private valuation settings and elite collector auctions, such unparalleled uniqueness translates into equally unparalleled monetary value. Which is how and why this coin has been appraised at over $110 million. With several private offers reportedly being rejected by its current owner, a reclusive but well-known figure in international rare asset investment who is said to be holding onto the coin as both a hedge against inflation and a long-term bet on the continued rise of tangible numismatic rarities in a digitizing world. And when we think about that, when we consider that a coin originally intended to be worth a single cent could through a series of nearly miraculous missteps and circumstances end up commanding more than the GDP of small nations, we realize that coin collecting is more than a hobby. It is a window into the hidden dramas of history, metallurgy, economics, and the very human tendency to overlook the extraordinary within the ordinary. Because the 1965 silver-struck Lincoln cent with its cascade of errors is not just a mint mistake, it is a story, a mystery, and now, a priceless piece of American folklore immortalized in metal. So the next time you find yourself dismissing a penny as worthless, remember this tale, and take a second look, because sometimes, just sometimes, that tiny copper, or perhaps silver, coin in your hand might just be worth $110 million. And as we reflect further on the overwhelming significance of this 1965 silver-struck Lincoln cent, it becomes clear that this coin doesn't just carry financial weight, it carries historical, technological, and even philosophical weight, representing a moment where human systems, even those designed for the utmost precision like the U.S. Mint, reveal their imperfections, and in doing so, birth something truly extraordinary. And what elevates the mystery even more is the absence of official documentation confirming the minting of any Lincoln cents on silver planchets in 1965, creating a silence from the mint that only deepens the intrigue. Because if this coin was a test strike, a transitional error, or a rogue mint product, why has no official record ever surfaced? Leading many to wonder if it was deliberately kept off the books or slipped through during a moment of oversight when the mint was stretched thin by the mass conversion of silver coinage, and theories continue to swirl about a possible crossover event where an experimental planchet was mistakenly funneled into the penny press, or perhaps a curious mint worker conducted a single clandestine strike out of curiosity or defiance, which would not be without precedent given the existence of other highly controversial era coins like the 1974 aluminum cent and the 1933 double eagle, both of which emerged under similarly murky circumstances, and in the end, the 1965 1-cent coin that defies its denomination and challenges our assumptions about era rarity, minting practices, and even numismatic law itself, stands alone in its value and significance, a living contradiction made of silver in a copper era, bearing double images where only one should exist, struck in a time of transition yet untouched by the typical boundaries of coinage, and this is precisely what makes such a coin not just a collector's dream, but a universal symbol of how extraordinary stories hide within the most ordinary of objects. Because whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone new to the world of rare coins, the story of the $110 million 1965 Lincoln cent is a powerful reminder that every coin tells a story, and some stories are so rare, so rich, and so riddled with wonder, they become priceless.